101.3 Moral Rock Radio, The Rock. Stay tuned for more real news and music. Newsflash, people. You've heard about this relic that Arasaka's teaching to the rich and famous? It's all over the scream sheets. Copy your personality engram into a chip, and your loved ones don't have to say goodbye when you finally die. Carry your dear sweet grandma around on the chip. Ask her for advice or pick me up whenever you need it. Eternal life of a sort. Of course, this is only on offer to the richest and most powerful people. Immortality isn't for squeebs like you and I, the common man. But is there more to it than that? We know that Arasaka's been working on mind emulation technology for half a century now. Most notably with the infamous Soulkiller. You've probably heard of it. It's a net weapon capable of copying your mind to a secure server and leaving your body an empty vessel. And what do they do with the copies? They interrogate them. There's some experimentation, a little torture, you know, the good stuff. So you, a billionaire executive, decide to get yourself copied. So your precious offspring never have to be without your sage wisdom. Or so you can give your annual speech at the company Christmas party. I mean, what would the world do without you? And Arasaka gladly makes a copy of your brain, puts it on a chip, and hands it over. But not before making a copy for themselves. And that copy goes straight to digital interrogations, where they pull your psyche apart bit by bit until they've squeezed every last memory out of you. Every compromising situation, every crime, every heartache, your secret fears and desires. And now you belong to them. Literally. Yeah, someone in Arasaka's marketing division should get a raise for this one. They've taken the most feared weapon in Arasaka's arsenal and turned it into a luxury consumer item. That's pretty impressive when you think about it. And remember, operators are standing by. Okay, people, listen up. This one comes to me from a listener who raises a great question. And he suggests an answer. How does the Arasaka family live so long? What about the Lucchese's, or half a dozen other high-profile corpo families that are pushing 200 years at this point? His answer? The vampires. The world is ruled by vampires. Well, folks, I can't say I haven't thought about it that way, but let's consider the evidence. There's the obvious. They seem to live forever and they look good doing it. Have you seen the documentary recently about Hanako Arasaka? She doesn't look a day over 40, but she's currently pushing her 8th decade. They drink blood. Yeah, checks out, they drain this city for sure. They sleep in coffins. Well, I do happen to know Saburo Arasaka spent the better part of this century in a medical tank to keep him alive. What do the medtechs call it? Ah, the sarcophagus. Yeah, it's more of a mummy thing, but close enough. They can only be killed with a wooden stake. Yeah, I'm not sure about this one. But maybe someone should test this out and let me know. He's guarded around the clock by a private army and lived for the better part of the century in a med tank designed to regenerate organic tissue. Guys like that, they don't just die. They certainly don't just get murdered by rivals. What would Saburo even be doing in Night City? No, folks, this is a smokescreen for something. And it wouldn't be the first time. If you're old enough to remember the Fourth Corporate War, there was a widespread report that Saburo had been killed by the Japanese SDF in a bid to end the war. Of course, it turned out not to be true, and the war dragged on for another year. No, you can take this one to the bank. It's only a matter of time before Saburo's going to show up on TV, tell us all he's back as CEO and ready to take the Arasaka Corporation into the next century. It's been over 50 years since the city was rocked by the nuking of the Arasaka Towers, but we still don't really know what happened there. Or do we? We're going to be separating lies from the truth, or at least giving it a damn good try. If you listen to the street, as you should, they say that old Johnny Silverhand finally took his final revenge on Arasaka. He got together with some of his influential compatriots and gave Saburo a middle finger so bright it could be seen all the way back to Japan. pocket nuke at the local gun store, even in Night City. But the people who back this story say he picked it up from the Nomads, who in turn stole it from Militech. Well, we know dear old Johnny led the attack, and I'm pretty sure he saw his revenge. Lord knows he had enough reason to want revenge on Arasaka, but the truth is he didn't come up with a plan and he didn't bring in the nuke. The rest? Well, Johnny, if you're out there, why don't you tell us? Evening, people. It's been over 50 years since the city was rocked by the nuking of the Arasaka towers, but we still don't really know what happened there. Or do we? Tonight, we've been separating the lies from the truth. We're going to try to figure out what went down. I've got another theory I want to float past you, this time from the Arasaka side. Arasaka's always said that Militech was behind the bombing. After having been repeatedly humiliated in their attempts to take the city, they finally employed a commando team to infiltrate the building and plant that nuke. According to Arasaka, the people of the city stood with their patrons from across the Pacific and were instrumental in Militech's repeated military failures in the city. They also say that Night City wasn't just collateral damage, but the secondary target. I believe Militech was behind the attack. That's what my sources tell me. But Arasaka isn't telling the whole truth either. And the stuff about the loyalty of regular Night citizens to their friends in Arasaka is a damn lie. It's true that Militech reached a stalemate in the battle for the city. Arasaka's military was well contained. In reality, the attack was meant to destroy Arasaka's secret weapon. What weapon? We'll get back to that in a bit. So people, it's been over 50 years since this city was rocked by the nuking of the Arasaka towers. But we still don't really know what happened there. Or do we? So what's the truth? All these stories we've discussed, these theories, they hold some truth. But as always, the real story is a lot more complicated. Here's the facts I've been able to dig up. Well, here's my theory. At that point in the war, one of Militech's core advantages was that they held net superiority, and they were about to lose that lead. Militech hired a team of disposable mercs. Some of them, like Johnny, had access to grind against Arasaka, and were perfectly happy to take the job despite any risks. Militech also supplied the nuke. But the one thing all these versions of the truth leave out is the why. The Night City HQ of Arasaka was home to their net weapons division, and they had developed a new version of the infamous Soulkiller program. Something like that would have turned the tables against Militech and their allies overnight, so Militech needed to make sure it was offline. Why use mercs? Well, the fact is, even today, 50 years later, hardly anyone can agree on what happened that night. When courts get their hands caught in a cookie jar, it's good to have someone else to blame. And any mercs in the audience should be thinking about that before they accept that next corpo contract. Time for some more samurai, people. The Ballad of Buck Ravers. You people, I've got something to tell you that's got me rattled. Now, I'm sure you've seen the news. Yorinobu Arasaka's the new head of Arasaka Corporation. Yeah, I'm afraid that's not possible. The truth is, Yorinobu's as dead as a runner surfing the Black Wall, and he's been for the past 50 years. So I guess we should start at the beginning, right, people? Yorinobu, as a lot of you know, is the youngest son of Old Man Saburo. But he didn't take after his father, quite the contrary. Now, when Yorinobu learned what his father's enterprise really stood for, he left. Kid ran away from home, formed a biker gang called the Steel Dragons. They weren't just any street gang, mind you. They had a mission. Espionage, terrorism, assassinations, all aimed at the Arasaka Zaibatsu. They kept it up for years, too. But it all stopped on the day those towers in Corpo Plaza came down now. That's quite a coincidence, don't you think? The official story is that after the death of his big brother, Yorinobu came home, apologized to Big Daddy Saburo, and was accepted back into the family. That's a straight-up con, people. Yorinobu was in those towers when he got wiped off the map. Maybe even helped bring them down. And all the evidence is buried under a million tons of debris we don't know. So who's this guy, you ask? One on TV talking about his dear old dad and versus the Arisaka family business? Yeah, I've got a few guesses. It's no secret Arisaka's been working on human cloning tech for almost a century now. So it's possible this guy's some sort of mind control clone of the original Yorinobu. Wouldn't that be just like old Saburo? Your kid doesn't turn out the way you want, so you just try again. Alternately, never figured out what happened to Kei, Yorinobu's older brother, after the war. Maybe he disappeared to a black clinic and he came out looking just like his younger brother.